let's start by talking about the sun. Most of you will recognize the symbol of the sun. It's a circle with a dot in it. And in fact, it is in an interesting way a representation of what we're dealing with astrology, unless you happen to go to India and then it's a square. But in Western astrology, we start with a circle, don't we? Circle is a symbol of wholeness. Whenever you see a circle, it represents wholeness. It represents all that can exist within the world, the limited universe that we live in. And it also represents that which endures, that which has no beginning and no end, because a circle has no beginning or end. We can't find a single end point there or a single beginning point. So it represents eternity or infinity. And the dot in the center of the sun symbol represents the spark of life. So the sun represents the spirit. Now astrology is based on a circle, and even though the Hindus draw their charts as a square or rectangle, if they look at the heavens, it looks like a bowl to them just like it looks to us. Okay, the heavens look like it's curved space. And so the Greeks learned to think of it as the celestial sphere, like we're looking at the inside of a bowl. Okay, so that's the celestial sphere. And with astrology, what we do then is we use this symbol of infinity and we put a cross in it, which is the cross of matter. And so that divides it up into fourths or quadrants, and it symbolizes to us that what we have is the infinity of the universe contained or represented in an earthly model and an earthly frame that we use on Earth. The sun, on the other hand, is just that pure spirit energy, and that's exactly what it does represent, is pure spirit or pure spark of life. The sun is the center of our solar system, and we can get a lot of meaning from things just by understanding the physical factors related to that thing. So because it's the center of our solar system, we can call it the center of us, the center of life. It's the center of who we are. It is our center. It is one-pointed and radiant. It is the giver of life, light, and heat. Without it, we would not exist. Of course, if it gave too much, we'd be burned to a crisp, so there's the balance there. We can use the sun, but we can't stare at the sun. It represents energy, life force, and the projection of self. You know, just think of it, energy, by itself, it's energy. But we may not be able to use this force in our lives if we live through other people, or if we do not attempt to know who we are as a complex individual. You read the stuff in the store, the horoscopes and all that sort of thing, and when they're saying this is your sign, they're really saying this is your sun sign. Yet, a lot of people really don't live out their solar force field very much at all. This used to be classically true of women, especially women who lived at home and didn't work outside the home or develop any individuality. They were completely dependent on other people in their lives in terms of that expression of their life force. And so they would, the classic way of them using that is to project it onto their children and say, you should be this, when it's really what they wanted to be. And so it's a very common thing to do. So not everyone lives out their solar force. Many people live through other planets in their charts. And to be honest, it's not absolutely necessary to live out your solar force. It's just something that, it's good to have an integrated sense of who you are. And if you don't live out your solar force, you're not going to feel as radiant, vital, and alive as if you do. So we have to grow into our sun, and we may not really tap into it or live through it until we pass the age of 30, or what is the age of our first Saturn return?
29.
Yeah. So our sense of who we are comes from that solar energy to a certain extent. But when I think about myself, I don't think about myself as being particularly Virgoan, but I think other people see that energy in me. So it's not that I'm not that, it's just that I can't see the forest for the trees. So it might really stick out, like be really obvious to other people, but it's not really obvious to me. You know, I see all the other parts of myself as well. So it is an inner part of ourselves, but it may be so pervasive that we can't really see it so well. Of course, because it is the light that shines within us, it can lead to a loss of perspective or adaptability. We may not be as adaptable if we are really heavily into our solar force field because of that one-pointedness. You know, it's radiant, it just gives off energy, it isn't receptive. So we have to incorporate other parts of our nature in to keep this energy in balance. It is yang energy in the yin and yang way of looking at things. It is light or consciousness. We are aware, and we are aware that we are aware. And it represents the day. Obviously, it creates the day. And so what it represents inside us is our will, willpower, power by itself, and a sense of purpose. It is the planet through which we are most likely to describe our meaning or purpose in life. And it's how we want to succeed. It is our physical appearance and physique. It has a lot to do with our health, strengths, and weaknesses. And it represents many different archetypes in our nature, but in particular the hero side of who we are. You know, the part of us that wants to be a hero and how that plays out. So the hero, we could call it our controlled folly. Did anybody read the Carlos Castaneda books? Controlled folly is the thing that, you know that the whole universe or the whole world is, kind of a joke. But you have to find something that gives you meaning. So you pick the thing that gives you meaning, and that's your controlled folly. Well, the thing that you're likely to choose as being meaningful for yourself is going to be in concert with your chart. It's going to work in harmony with that. So the hero moves through the 4 quadrants of the chart, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing. You could do a whole lecture on this. But he sets out into the world, he brings order out of chaos through the use of will, then he undergoes trials to prove his strengths and weaknesses, and then he dies and is reborn in a new consciousness. The sun is basically the part of ourselves that takes on challenges. When we feel challenged and we feel excited about things and we're doing something for the first time, we're doing something that we've never done before, it's our sun that gives us the courage to go forth and do that. I mean, when we're coming out and doing something like taking an astrology class, I mean, your sun's got you out there going, get going, that little prodding stick. Get going, do something you've never done before. Maybe you're a little bit afraid, but you're going to do it anyway. So that's what it does. So the sun expresses itself by attempting to have an influence. It tries to motivate, it tries to shift and change. It doesn't move itself around other things. It is incapable of becoming different under the influence of something else. It changes the things around it. Okay? It does not accept, but seeks to change and improve. It seeks greater expression of itself. It gives the person or, dog or whatever, company, whatever, a sense of self, what it is. It gives it integrity and wholeness. It resists efforts to make it what it is not. So it's one of the things that gives us our sense of self and makes us able to withstand somebody telling us that that's not you. That's not you, you're something else. And even when we're a kid, where we're vulnerable to other people telling us who we are and what we are, the sun is what supports the part of ourselves that stays in touch with the true core of who we are. So if you have a strong sun in your chart, and this means that it would be near the angles, you probably don't know what that means yet, but if you do, that's information you can use. It's elevated, meaning it's up toward the top of the chart, or it's strongly connected to other planets. Then you may have a certain set of characteristics, such as you'll have lots of vitality, you will be tireless, you'll work relentlessly to bring your vision into the world in some way or another. whatever you do will include your own personal perspective, whether it's right or wrong. You will be naturally prominent or shine. People like that have a really strong solar force take over a room when they come into it. They just like, they're there. They need acknowledgement. They may be arrogant or self-centered. They may overestimate their own worth, and they will not be a team player, but rather a star.